for all things Halloween. Sorry about that. Oh my gosh! The Invisible Man is a 2020 horror thriller film written and directed by Leigh Whannell. And you may know Whannell from some of his other works, including the Insidious series and, of course, co-writing Saw with James Wan. They started off as amateur film students in New Zealand and grown to pretty high success here in the States and also all around the world from their many tremendous horror films and the like. Leigh Whannell recently made Upgrade a few years back, and now he has made, in association with Blumhouse Productions, The Invisible Man, which is a loose readaptation of the classic 1933 film of the same name, The Invisible Man, starring Claude Rains, which itself is an adaptation of a book written by H.G. Wells. So the story of The Invisible Man goes back almost 150 years. This is a pretty intense situation. And the story of The Invisible Man was loosely made into another remake in 2000 called The Hollow Man.
It's amazing what you can do when you don't have to look at yourself in the mirror anymore.
So this story has been around for quite some time. I myself am a major fan of the 1933 film with Claude Rains. Not only does it have a great story, great special effects, great acting, but it's just overall one of the most intriguing of the Universal Monsters series.
You're crazy to know who I am, aren't you? All right, I'll show you. There's a souvenir for you. And one for you. I'll show you who I am and what I am.
As you all know, in 2017, a few years back, Universal tried to start the Dark Universe that was going to bring back their legendary monsters. And they kicked it off with The Mummy with Tom Cruise. And, we know how that ended.
No.
And so the Dark Universe was canceled, and they cut ties with making that Invisible Man film with Johnny Depp. And that film, The Mummy, cost almost $200 million to make. So, Blumhouse Universal worked out a deal. They got Leigh Whannell to write and direct an Invisible Man movie. Cost only $8 million or so to make this film, which sounds like a lot, but in filmmaking money, that's practically nothing. And especially compared to The Mummy. So this is all a pretext to the movie itself. But here we are. I've been waiting for this film for almost a year and a half, and The Invisible Man is here. A movie I've been anticipating. What did I think of The Invisible Man? I loved it. Oh my gosh, I loved this movie. Wow. This feels like a movie tailor-made to me. It has a little bit of everything that I love in it. And there will be some people that don't like the movie, and I get everyone's taste is different. But if you're like me, you're gonna enjoy the heck out of The Invisible Man. The story follows a woman who is in an abusive relationship, and she decides to leave her then-boyfriend, Mr. Griffin, or Dr. Griffin, similar to the 33 film, and she leaves him. And he commits suicide, not saying if that's legit or not, but that was presented in the trailer, that he commits suicide, but then weird things start happening to her, and she suspects that he is still alive and invisible. And we have an amazing setup to an outstanding horror film. I could go really in depth about everything about this movie, but let me just cover a few things. Winnell's script is really solid. Things pieced together quite well, and I really like all of the character interactions. There's side characters that have great scenes. The main woman, played by Elizabeth Moss, does a fantastic job and really sells the character. The Invisible Man is intimidating, which brings me to my second point. This movie is scary. I was scared quite a few times throughout this movie, and it's not because of jump scares, it's because of well-crafted scenes involving either dialogue or wide shots where you don't know where the Invisible Man is. You're on the edge of your seat going, where is he? I can't see him, and that's where the terror comes in. It's really well-crafted, and I'm so glad that a brilliant mind like Winnell was able to craft these scares in such a great way. I haven't been on the edge of my seat with my heart racing like that in a film for quite a while. So, great kudos, Invisible Man. So the writing's good, the scares are great, the film is beautiful, really well shot, the pacing is perfect, I think. Some people may say it's a little too slow in the beginning, but I think it's fine. It draws out the characters if you really care about that stuff. And the film is less than 2 hours, so it gets in, tells the story, and gets out. Obviously, it's a Leigh Whannell script, so there's some twists and turns in it. There are a few major twists, some I did not see coming. But I won't spoil those for you. You'll just have to go see the movie, or I might do a spoiler section in this video, but I'll let you know when. But there are a few twists that feel appropriate. They're not too over the top. They feel realistic. They make sense in terms of the story, and I really like how all of the stuff fleshes out. One thing I really loved is how the Invisible Man is able to make people think that Elizabeth Moss's character is going crazy by the things that he does to manipulate her in her life. Getting back at her through this invisible power, which I thought was really well done, really well written and crafted. You really feel panicked for her because you're like, how do you get out of this situation without sounding nuts? Obviously, she wants to tell people he's invisible, but how does that make any sense to a rational human being? I just thought it was a really well done movie, you guys. It was scary. It was intense. It's definitely a movie that I want in my collection. And I talked about this online a few days, or last night when I saw the film, when this video is coming out probably a few days ago. But what The Fly did for the original Fly, if you remember, the 80s film is a remake of a 50s movie starring Vincent Price, and what The Thing, the John Carpenter Thing, did for The Thing from Another World, which is again a 50s movie, this Invisible Man does for the classic film. And I love the classic film to death, and I think it's overall better because it's held up longer over time, and this film just came out, so we have to give it, you know, the time test. But just from an initial viewing, I really admired what they did with the script. I really like the direction it went in. It was intense, it was fast-paced in scenes, slow-paced in other scenes, and overall, The Invisible Man was an excellent horror film. I wish more filmmakers would make scary movies like this because they had the right idea here. And now I wonder, since this movie was a success, both making a lot of money, almost $50 million in its opening weekend, and critically a success with like a 90-something on Rotten Tomatoes, I wonder if this is going to open the door to more of the monster movies, the Universal monster films, and then perhaps Universal will have its Dark Universe over again, but in a different way. And I think that's a whole lot better. Overall, I'm going to give The Invisible Man a 4.5 out of 5 skulls on the R.I.P. Reviews rating scale. Get out there and see, or don't see for that matter, The Invisible Man. Thank you for watching, and remember, for all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer, and if you want some spoilers, keep watching.
Show yourself! Come on! Do it! There you are.
Alright, so, if you're here, it means you want to talk about some spoilers with me. First of all, I want to say if you haven't seen the film, I recommend that you go watch it and then come back to this section of the video because I don't want to spoil a really cool twist and turn movie for you. Or maybe you just don't care and that's fine, but I do recommend you watch the movie. So The Invisible Man, like I said, is based off of the classic H.G. Wells story, and in that story, a mad scientist, Griffin, injects himself with a serum that makes him turn invisible, and at the end of the film, he is murdered and regains his visibility yet again after his death. And the twist in this film is that Griffin's not actually invisible. Well, he is invisible, but his physical nature is not invisible. He actually created a suit to become invisible. It's a suit of many mirror-like cameras that reflect the world around him and therefore makes him invisible. And I thought that's a really clever idea because the technology like that does exist right now, sort of, very loosely, not in the way it's put in the film, but, you know, they're using it on tanks and stuff in the military. But that idea is clever. I also like, at the end, when Elizabeth Moss uses the fire extinguisher to shoot down the Invisible Man, she realizes that it's not actually Griffin, but instead his weird, creepy little brother. And that was a nice little twist. And it makes you think, was he doing it the whole time? Was it actually Griffin and manipulating the strings? Then at the end of the movie, she arrives at Griffin's house, because he was abducted by his brother, and she murders him using the invisible suit. And I like the open-endedness of the film. Was he actually that bad? Was a lot of this in her head? Was the brother the one actually pulling the strings? Was he pulling the strings? We don't really know. I almost wish they wouldn't have given away that she actually murdered him, because I think it would have been even more twisty, and I love me a good twist. But with that said, The Invisible Man was awesome. There are some great scenes. The scene where she splashes paint on him was fantastic. Though, I mean, technically paint wouldn't rub off that fast from your suit. But, okay. The house was really neat. All the sets were really cool. The hospital sequence was awesome, where the suit kept coming in and out, and he was doing, you know, flipping the guards and shooting them. That was crazy. Her clever trick of pretending to kill herself, but then actually using that to get him was really neat. Him manipulating his brother was nice. There's just a lot in here that can be dissected. I will have to see the film again, but I want to hear from you. If you saw The Invisible Man, what did you think about it? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and remember, for all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer.